Welcome to this lesson on Calculus 3. Today, we are mastering triple integrals in cylindrical coordinates. This is a powerful technique used to solve volume and mass problems that are difficult to handle in standard Cartesian coordinates. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly how to set up and evaluate these integrals using the variables r, theta, and z. So, why do we need a new coordinate system? Cylindrical coordinates are essentially an extension of polar coordinates into 3 dimensions. They are incredibly useful when we are dealing with shapes that have symmetry around a central axis, such as cylinders, cones, pipes, or paraboloids. In these cases, using cylindrical coordinates simplifies the limits of integration significantly compared to using x, y, and z. Let us define our 3 variables. First, we have z, which remains exactly the same as in Cartesian coordinates. It represents the height above the xy plane. Next, we have r, which is the distance from the z-axis to the point, effectively the radius in the xy plane. Finally, we have theta, which is the angle measured from the positive x-axis, just like in polar coordinates. To convert between systems, we use these standard formulas. To go from cylindrical to Cartesian, x equals r cosine theta and y equals r sine theta. Conversely, to find r squared, we simply add x squared plus y squared. This identity is the key reason why cylindrical coordinates are so effective for circular regions. This is the most important concept in this video. In Cartesian coordinates, the volume element dv is simply dx, dy, dz. However, in cylindrical coordinates, because we are dealing with a curved wedge shape, the volume element is r, dr, d theta, dz. You must never forget that extra factor of r. It accounts for the fact that the arc length increases as you move further from the origin. Here is the general structure of a triple integral in cylindrical coordinates. We usually integrate with respect to z first, then r, and finally theta. Notice the order of the differentials, dz, dr, d theta. And again, notice the r term inside the integral. This is the Jacobian factor that scales the volume element correctly. Setting up the bounds can be tricky, so here is a 3-step strategy. First, find the z limits by imagining an arrow shooting up through the solid. Where does it enter and exit? Second, project the solid's shadow onto the xy plane to find the limits for r. Finally, determine the angle theta needed to sweep out that shadow, which is often 0 to 2 pi for full circles. Let us apply this to an example. We want to find the volume of a solid bounded above by the paraboloid z equals 4 minus r squared and bounded below by the plane z equals 0. This shape looks like a dome sitting on the ground. Because of the circular symmetry and the r squared term, this is a perfect candidate for cylindrical coordinates. Now we calculate the volume. We set up the integral with theta from 0 to 2 pi, r from 0 to 2, and z from 0 to 4 minus r squared. Don't forget the r in the integrand. Integrating r with respect to z gives us rz. Evaluating the bounds and simplifying leads us to the final answer of 8 pi. To summarize, use cylindrical coordinates for objects with rotational symmetry. The conversion formulas rely on polar coordinates for x and y, while z stays the same. The most critical rule to remember is replacing dv with r, dr, d theta, dz. If you remember that extra r, you will avoid the most common mistake students make in Calculus 3.
If you like this video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Visit codelucky.com for more such useful content.